Welcome back to the Get Your Life Back Summit. I'm Beth Genley, your host, and today we are welcoming Diane Lang, a therapist, educator, and positive living expert. Diane has dedicated her career to helping people turn their lives around and is now on a mission to help them develop a sustainable, positive attitude so we can turn into optimists. She's written 3 books, Creating Balance and Finding Happiness, Baby Steps, The Path from Motherhood to Career, and Mindfully Happy, Waking Up to Life. Diane, welcome, and thank you for joining us from your gym.
Hi, Beth. Thank you so much for having me. And yes, everybody, my gym is behind me. What I have done is mixed my office with a gym. I felt like if I had both, I'd be really highly motivated or really guilty if I didn't work out. So I have my treadmill, I have my weights, I have my gym machine, so I can just really literally go from, coaching clients or counseling straight into my gym. So I figured with the New Year's resolutions coming up and fitness being one of them, I would have it right here with me. So I have no excuses.
That's
thank
beautiful.
you so much for having me.
You are so welcome. And the research is really clear that the closer our equipment or our guitar or whatever it is that we want to be doing is to us, the more likely we are to actually do it. So that's
absolutely. It does work for me, I have to admit. I try to at least get on my treadmill 4 to 5 times a week, especially with all the cold weather here. I live on the East Coast, and if you know, we're in a deep freeze.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go outside and do any running or walking. So if I don't have it here, I'm never going to get to it. So it's really a blessing for me to be able to have my office on one side and a gym on the other side. So it's really been working in my favor.
Beautiful. So I understand you're a positive psychologist and you help people with happiness. That sounds so awesome. Talk to us about happiness.
So positive psychology is the newest branch of psychology. And a lot of people still haven't heard of it, even though it's been around since 1998 when Dr. Martin Seligman coined the term positive psychology. And what we do is we actually study and research happiness, optimism, resiliency, what works for us, what helps us to feel good, what our strengths are, how do we find meaning and purpose in our life. So as positive psychologists, we study and research happiness, but it doesn't mean that we don't think you don't have negative feelings. We're not Pollyanna. We still want you to feel and heal and forgive and grieve and work through all your emotions. But we also want to give people tips and tools to cultivate more happiness in their lives. Because what we do know is no matter where you are on your happiness scale, whether it's through genetics or it's through your background, what you've been through, your past, we know we can be happier. So I just want to give people tips and tools so they can cultivate more happiness and be more resilient and optimistic, which they can pass down to their kids, which is great. So it's really, such a great science, and I'm really excited to share it with, everybody who's here with us.
When I began to learn that there was science behind how we could be happier, I was so excited about that. I'm really looking forward to what you have to share. I know that many of us feel like we need to be serious at work and take it seriously. How does happiness affect us professionally as well as personally?
Well, you have to remember a few things. If we're personally in a good spot, we're definitely in a better spot professionally. So personal lives and professional really are combined, because if you're having a bad time at home, maybe you're having trouble in your relationships or with your family, a lot of times we bring it with us to the workplace and it really affects us. The other part is moods and emotions are completely contagious. So let's say I go into work and I have a meeting and my boss is in a really bad mood. I notice that bad mood within about 10 to 15 seconds, maybe 30 seconds, but I notice it. Within 10 to 15 minutes, their mood becomes my mood. So being that moods and emotions are so contagious, if I'm at a workplace where people are just not happy and they're in bad moods all the time, it's going to really affect me and it's going to bring down my mood and my positivity, which again can also be passed around the office. Now, for most of us, negativity is our natural default or bias. We really tend to go on the negative side. We feel even more comfortable with negativity. I mean, look at the news. We're so used to having negativity that when bad things happen, we're not even shocked anymore. So when people are in bad moods, sometimes we just feel automatically attracted to it, or it just feels comfortable because that's how we feel. So negativity really passes on quickly. So the happier we are, the happier we can make people around us. So we really want to be that one shining light in the workplace, because then we can help spread it. And we're also more attractive when we're happy. You know, when you see people who are smiling and happy, we're more prone to go up to them. And the thing about happiness is when people smile, laugh, huddle, hug, all of that, it produces endorphins, which is our happy chemical. So we can really lift our happiness just by smiling. So one of the positive psychology exercises that I really love is that we actually have people just smile at 10 people a day. And if you haven't noticed, when you smile at somebody, it's contagious, right? So if somebody smiles at you, even if you're having a really bad day, you smile back because it makes you feel good. And every time you smile, you produce those endorphins. So we can really have a domino effect. So really in the workplace, we want to really feel that happiness because it also cultivates more productivity, more creativity, and it leads to less absenteeism, less turnover rates, less lateness. So it's really great that we're more positive in the workplace as well as home. I mean, they're really combined.
That's beautiful. I know that salespeople are actually trained to start smiling before they pick up the phone.
Absolutely.
The facial expression actually trains your brain and your body to follow the expression into reality, as it were.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If somebody smiles at you or you smile yourself, you can't help but keep the smile. So even if I'm having a bad day and let's say I pass somebody in the workplace and they smile at me, it instantly makes me smile. And that shifts your mood because of the endorphins. So really, it's so easy to start spreading some happiness in the workplace or anywhere. I mean, you could smile at anybody all day, and you never know, too. Are you the only person who gave them that smile that day? You can shift somebody's mood. So it's also a random act of kindness if you want to look at it that way. So, you know, it's a bonus across the board. We can cultivate our own happiness and someone else's just with a smile.
Beautiful.
Whereas, you know, or a laugh, or a hi, how are you? I mean, we can really exaggerate it more. But if you just want to start with a smile, then start with a smile.
Do you have any more tips like that? That sounds super easy to do for most of us, to just work on 10 smiles a day. What else have you got for us?
Sure. So we have what's called the happiness habits, and that's in my new book that you mentioned. And these happiness habits, this is what I love about them. They're common sense, they're easy to do, they're realistic as in time frame, it won't change your schedule, and the best part is they're free. Because those are the things I hear from my clients. I work, I have a family, I don't have the time, or I don't have the money. You know, I have expenses, kids going to college. You don't have to worry about either one of them. So the first one we just talked about is just the smiling. But I want to go into a few different ones. So the first one to think about, especially that we're talking about my gym in the back, is are your basic needs met? And this is a really important one because if our physical basic needs aren't met, then emotionally we don't feel good. And if emotionally we're not feeling good, it affects us physically. So again, you have that combination. Emotional affects the physical, physical affects the emotional. So there's 4 things that I always have my clients do. And a really easy way to do this, because I think we've all done this. Have you ever kept a food diary where you write down what you've eaten all day? Okay, so it's the same philosophy. What I do is I have my clients for 1 week keep the journal of truth. And what it is, well, that's all it is. There's no changes the first week. But all I want you to do is keep track of 4 things. The first one is your sleep. How much sleep are you getting? And we need about 7 to 8 hours. Everybody's a little different, but 7 to 8 hours is really good. So think about it this way. The normal American only gets 4 to 6 hours. And that's most of us. And what happens is after your 3rd night of sleeping 6 hours or less, it's like not sleeping for 24 hours cognitively. So your attention span, your focus, your concentration, your memory, your moods, they're all completely off. So we really want to concentrate on getting enough sleep. So that's the first thing to keep track on. The second thing is your diet. Now I'm going for mental and emotional health. I'm not a personal trainer or anything. So what we look for is, when are you eating? Making sure you're eating every, 3 to 4 hours so you're not getting like that Snickers commercial, the hangry, when you're, hungry and angry mix. Because then we really can't think or focus or have attention or concentration. all of what we need both at work and home. So you want to make sure that you're eating every few hours, and then you want to look at what you're eating. And again, I'm not going for weight loss, I'm going for cognitive abilities and, emotional health. So we want to think about two things. When you're reading labels, which I'm sure you've talked about with a lot of the other speakers, is very important to read the labels. But what I look for is if the first 2 to 3 ingredients are sugar or any form of sugar or fake sugar, you want to remove it. We're very addicted to sugar. And if you've read the latest science, what we know, and I work with addiction as a therapist, getting off of sugar is as addicting as getting off of cocaine or heroin. It's that addicting. So we don't want that, because sugar causes a lot of mood swings. And we don't want where we don't have that attention, concentration, or our moods going up and down like a roller coaster ride. So we want to stay away from sugar or fake sugar. And the second thing is, when you read your labels, is if you can't pronounce everything in it, then it's a GMO. And we really want to eat as pure as we can, because again, that keeps best for our cognitive and our emotional state. So really watch your diet. The third thing is water. How much water are you drinking? And we want to keep track of water. That does not include coffee, tea, or any kind of, soda type of drinks. We're really talking about just water, and that can include any kind of broth or any kind of decaffeinated herbal tea, like a chamomile, a vanilla, or a ginger, those types of tea. Outside of that, none of those drinks count. Now, what happens is most of us are dehydrated, not enough to end up in the hospital, but enough that we feel fatigued mentally, physically, emotionally. So we want to make sure we're drinking at least 8 to 10 glasses of water a day. And that could be a water bottle or a glass. I have my clients carry around water with them wherever they go. And to at least try and have a glass of water, or if not 2, before a meal, which could help in reducing what you eat and your hunger. But what happens is most of my clients will say they feel the 2 to 3 o'clock work blues. Where you're somewhere, a few hours after lunch and you're at work and you're like, oh, I'm just exhausted. And we go for either caffeinated beverage or a vending machine type of snack. And what I've learned from my clients, what I've suggested and they said has worked well, is after lunch, start sipping or drinking 2 full glasses of water. And after about 2 weeks, you'll notice you won't have those afternoon blues, because most of the time we're just tired because we're not drinking enough water, because we're not eating a water-soluble diet anymore. And especially when it's cold, we tend to drink less of the water we need. And the last one is, did you exercise today? And that's a really important one, because exercise has a few things. Even just a walk. Let's stick with walking, because a lot of us, when we're at work, will walk on our lunch break, right? We'll go outside, we'll take a walk. Some corporations will actually have tracks or gyms in there, and a lot of times we'll do that. So just walking, if we can walk 3 to 4 times a week for about 20 to 30 minutes each time, and it doesn't have to be a run or a speed walk, just a nice walk, what happens is we reduce our stress levels and we create a sense of mindfulness, where we are able to really calm ourselves and get a state of peace and relaxation and de-stressing. And that is so important to us. As well as exercise is also a form of mindfulness as well, even if it's not walking, you could be doing whatever you want. And the other part is exercise produces endorphins, that happy chemical we talked about with smiling, while reducing your stress hormone cortisol. So you get so many benefits from exercise. So what I have my clients do is keep track of that. And that's why we call it the journal of truth. Don't make any changes the first week. But by the end of the week, when we go over that journal, most of my clients can see why they're feeling blah or fatigued or unmotivated in life. Because when your physical basic needs are not met, everything else suffers. So that's the first happiness habit.
Okay, so I want to review just for a second. So in your journal of truth, in your first week, what you're recommending is that you track sleep,
Yep.
your diet,
Yep.
exercise, and water.
Yep.
That seems pretty simple. That's a doable thing to track.
Right, and it's only for a week. It's not this extended long period of time. But I have to tell you, what I've noticed is a lot of my clients at the end of the week, when they look at their journal of truth, they're actually like, wow, I now know why I feel this way. And when they make those changes in their diets, their water, whatever it is that they're lacking, and for most people it's a few of them, within a few months, they feel at least 50% different because their physical basic needs aren't met. You know, a lot of us work, we work 60 to 70 hours a week with our commutes. Then we come home and we have to cook and clean and take care of our family. And most of us are just not eating right or sleeping right or getting enough water, and we'll say, I don't have time to exercise. All I'm asking for is that you do 3 to 4 times a week, 20 to 30 minutes of a basic walk, add some water to your diet, make sure you're eating well, and try to get a little more sleep. If you could at least do more than 6 hours of sleep, you will notice a difference. And it really will affect our overall moods, and it'll affect our work ability. So it's really such a basic, simple thing we're taught when we're children, but then life gets in the way and we forget. So that's the first place I would start, where I start with most of my clients.
Okay. All right. And you said that you had a few more tips. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
Absolutely. So another one is gratitude. And we all know gratitude because it's become so popular lately. But gratitude is so important for a few reasons. So gratitude, first off, is a form of meditation. So every time we do gratitude, we get all the benefits of meditation or mindfulness. You know, we de-stress, it helps us sleep better, it lowers our blood pressure, it reduces chronic pain. You know, the list goes on and on. The other thing about gratitude is gratitude retrains your brain from negative to positive. Because what it does is it allows you to see what's in front of you that we tend to ignore, or we tend to not even put any attention on. So it allows you to really see what's in front of you and start shifting your perspective. And happiness really is a perspective. Like, here we just had a blizzard pretty much. I hate it. I wish I was in the warm weather. If you would send me to Aruba, I'd be really happy. But I have a close friend who loves this weather. Lives for the snow and the cold. She's crazy. But anyway, for her, the perspective is when it's winter, she's happy. For me, the perspective is I'm happy when it's warm and it's summer. So happiness is a lot to do with perspective and how you choose to view something. Is the glass half full? Is the glass half empty? So with gratitude, you tend to start looking at what's good in your life. You start to tend to notice the little things that really make a big difference for you. It's stopping to smell the flowers. So I'd
like to interrupt you again and ask you, can you pursue this a little bit in terms of your example? If it's freezing outside and snowing and generally not the weather that you want it to be, how can you find gratitude in the midst of looking out your window and saying, oh boy, that does not look good?
So there's a few things. What I have my clients do is I have them do what's called a gratitude check. And all it is asking yourself, what are 2 to 3 things that I am grateful for today? Now, the important key in there is today. Because if I just ask you what you're grateful for every day, you get into what we call a gratitude rut, where we start saying the same things over and over. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful that I'm healthy. I'm safe. And there's no value or meaning to it. When we actually do, what am I grateful for today? We start looking through the day. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm going to love the snow and the cold outside, because that's not going to happen. But what it does is when I ask myself, what are the 2 to 3 things I'm grateful for at the end of the day? It allows me to see all the good in the day and look at the big picture. So I don't just stay focused on the one thing I don't like. I stay focused on the 2 to 3 things or more of what happened that was good. And it might be, I didn't have to drive in it. We had a snow day. Schools were canceled. Work was canceled. I got to stay in. I'm really grateful that I got to spend the day with my daughter because she was off. And I'm grateful that my dog is outside loving the snow, and that makes us laugh. It doesn't matter what it is. And when you look at gratitude, we're not looking for the big things. I mean, if you win lotto, be grateful. But we're looking for the really little things. So again, it might be the gratitude that I got the day off and don't have to worry about driving in it. Might be I'm grateful, like I said, my dog, I have a golden retriever. When it snows, he's the only one happy in the house. He goes outside, he's rolling in it. It is the cutest, adorable thing. That brings me gratitude. So it's the little things, or it might be because it was really freezing, I allowed myself to have this great cup of hot chocolate with mini marshmallows, and I really enjoyed it. But that's like a treat that I save for special days because, the calories and trying to eat healthy.
And sugar.
Right, the sugar. it's those really little things that we look for. And that's what really starts changing our perspective, because now instead of focusing on, oh, it's a snow day and it's freezing, I just focused on all the good, and I immediately stay focused on the good, and my attention goes in that direction. Again, it doesn't mean that bad things don't happen. It means I'm not going to spend my time focusing on it. I have my clients do gratitude at night because of a few things. So when you do it at night, you tend to fall asleep with good thoughts in your head. You know, you want to think about it this way. Whatever you're thinking about 20 to 30 minutes before you go to sleep will phase how you sleep, if you sleep, and what mood you wake up in the morning. Which is why we tend to say don't watch the news at night, because that could really give you nightmares and fear and anxiety, and you might not sleep at all. So if when you're doing your bed, nightly routine, after you've shut your TV off, your lights off, you're laying in bed, and it usually takes most people 20 to 30 minutes to fall asleep, even though it shouldn't. That seems to be the norm. If you spend a few minutes of that time doing gratitude and meditation, you'll change what you're thinking about. Because at the end of the day, when it's quiet like that, we tend to have that negative loop in our head, right? I should have done this. I could have done that. Why did I do that? I'm so stupid. Whatever your negative loop is. But instead of focusing on that, if I start focusing on what I'm grateful for, I'm shifting my thought process. And that makes a big difference in my sleep quality and the mood I wake up in the morning. For some of my clients, they actually email me every night in bed what their 2 to 3 things they're grateful for. Now, don't put any stress on you. There might be some days you only have one thing you're grateful for. That's fine. We could all find one. Some days you'll have 10. It's okay. There's no judgment. With meditation of any type of mindfulness, you never want to judge. You just do the best you can, and that's all we want. So do the gratitude at night. And the other habit that matches it that you can do at the same time is ask yourself, what are 2 to 3 things I did well today? Now, I have my clients do that in a row. Now, why again is because at night I want to retrain that brain. I want people to get a good night's sleep and wake up in that good mood. But again, at night with that negative loop that, just replays over and over in our heads, we tend to look at what we didn't do well. I have clients who've had a great day except for one little mistake at work. They had a great day. Everything else went well, but their boss returned, something they wrote and said, oh, you just missed one piece. Can you fix it? And that's what they focus on at night. They'll spend 20 minutes just focusing on the one thing. By asking myself, what are the 2 to 3 things that I did well today, or what went right, however you want to say it, I start shifting what I look at. So again, it's not that didn't happen, but now I'm starting to focus on what I did well. And again, that retrains your brain to start noticing more of the positive than the negative. We know the negative exists, we just don't want to stay there. Because when you focus on it, that's where your attention goes, and that's what drains us and makes us have that negative self-talk. We don't need to stay there. We can start focusing on more of the positive. And maybe what you did well that day was you noticed that something bad happened and you fixed it and you didn't stay focused on it. That could be it. It could be how you handled it. It could be that you had a great hair day. It doesn't matter. It's looking for what did I do well and what am I grateful for, and we're retraining the brain to really start noticing the positive. And what I've noticed for myself, when I started doing this, and this is years ago, one of the things that happened is I was able to always see the good and the bad in a situation. So instead of, let's say something bad happened, I know that it did happen, but I could even see the good in it. And the good might just be a lesson, or that I learned something and I won't repeat it, or I noticed the pattern so I can change it. But I started being able to see the difference of the good and the bad. And even when I was in a bad situation, I was grateful. It was very strange when that shift started happening about, years and years ago, and it stayed with me ever since. So I use these tips as well. Not only do I use them with clients and teach them, I use them, and they just work so well. I mean, it's really shifted my life, and so many people I know. I wish I could say I created them. I did not. Again, it's Dr. Martin Seligman. He's the founder and the father of positive psychology. But just watching how it shifts your brain and how you think, and that affects everything: work, school, home life, relationships. It's such a big difference.
It seems like retraining your attention to focus more on the positive and to be more aware of how things are going well and how you're achieving things, as well as focusing on how am I doing at meeting my basic needs? Do I need to check in with that? Those seem like really powerful habits. It's really fascinating because it doesn't cost us a thing financially and hardly even in energy, just a little bit of shift.
It really, and when you think about it, you know, we all take time to go to sleep. So if you're sitting in bed asking yourself in your head, what am I grateful for, or what did I do well today? It might take you 5 to 10 minutes, if that, but it's not time that shifted your schedule. You're trying to go to bed anyway. So why not put yourself in that mindfulness spot and really shift your attitude and sleep better? And, you know, one of the other happiness habits is meditation. So if you can add that too. Now, a lot of people will tell me, I can't meditate. I can't quiet my mind. Just to tell you, nobody quiets their mind. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day. So if you could quiet your mind, you're way ahead of science, and good for you. What it does is when you meditate, and there's so many different ways of meditating. I mean, even gratitude is a form of meditation. But when you meditate, what it does is it puts those thoughts in your back of your head that you don't have to stay focused on them. And you can realize they're just a thought. Because remember, a thought doesn't mean it's true, right? How many bad thoughts do we have, or negative belief systems, or patterns that are not really beneficial to us or even true? You know, how many times do we say to ourselves, I'm no good, I'm not worthy, I'm not lovable, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, whatever that is. It doesn't mean it's true. I had a client who was a lawyer and had her own practice, graduated Harvard Law, and she used to say, I'm stupid. We all know she's not stupid. You can't graduate or even get into Harvard if you're stupid. But literally, we can have those negative thoughts. So we have to realize that most of them aren't true. You know, a belief system is based on thoughts that you have over and over again. It doesn't mean they're true. It's either you're telling them to yourself, or you have somebody in your life, and it could be childhood where you had, you know, parents who just kept telling you were not good, or a relationship like that, even a boss. And it could really shift our belief system. But again, it doesn't mean it's true. So when we meditate, we get a lot of clarity on that. So if you can add in like a 5 to 10 minute guided meditation, and I know you have somebody on here who shared a meditation. So, you know, you can listen to Dawn's, or you can go on YouTube or get an app. It's all free. And, you know, all you have to do is 5 to 10 minutes to get all the benefits of it. You know, if you could do longer, great. But we're talking about with work and life balance, just 5 to 10 minutes, and you can start seeing a difference in a few weeks to a few months.
Beautiful. This is awesome stuff. So useful and so practical. I understand you have a gift to offer our viewers as well.
Yes. I put a link up on my website. So if you go there, you can sign up and get my free book, which is called 5 Steps to Cultivating Happiness. And it gives a few of these happiness habits in a little more detail. It's about a 25-page ebook, and I would love to send it to everybody listening. So all you have to do is go on that link, fill it out. It's just an email in your name, and it will go straight to your, to your email.
Beautiful. And we will be sharing that link in the email that we send out and in follow-ups and on the Summit website. So people will have lots of access to that.
Great. Thank you.
I just want to say I'm very grateful to have had this conversation with you. I feel really good about it. And I'm so excited to be sharing this information with everyone that's watching. So thank you for a really great conversation.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great talking with you.
Beautiful. Take care.